Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm Derek Wilmaster.
And this is Scream Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and we find some shocking films like tonight's Wes Craven's Shocker. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
Doing shockingly awesome.
Oh!
My delivery on that was pretty terrible, but
I thought it was good. I think you nailed it. You nailed it. You almost were as good as Sean Connery when he says shocking at the beginning of Goldfinger.
Shocking. Positively shocking.
So
I was gonna say I probably should have done that with a English accent, but
you should have.
I don't want to show off.
I understand. You want to keep it. You want to keep your thespian skills on display. For the movie. That way it gets revealed during Secret Admirer.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. So, guys, anything cool, exciting going on?
Cleaned up my backyard today. I'm so ready to garden. I'm so excited that it's getting warm out. I'm ready for the gardening season.
Yeah, it is nice, isn't it?
Yes,
how about you,
but I
Derek?
am really sore now.
Of course. Yeah, that's always the downside.
I just want to go on record to tell you how much I hate gardening because it's hard work. I don't like doing it. I hate pulling weeds. It's the worst.
Yeah, weed pulling sucks. Welcome to Scream Bloody Gardening. The
But other
podcast
than
where
that,
we talk about all of our gardening needs.
other than that, I don't have much going on. My son's birthday is this weekend. Did you say hit you up?
Yeah, I said hit me up if anybody wants to talk about gardening. I'm really into the gothic gardening with like black flowers and things like this.
I've never heard of this.
Black tomatoes, super dark eggplants.
What?
Yeah, really gothic look. And also moon gardening is a beautiful thing to do where you just plant a lot of white flowers that light up your yard at night when the moon is full.
When you talked about
you got to get into it.
When you talked about moon gardening just now, the image that popped in my head was, do you remember Dennis the Menace? When he had that, Mr. Wilson had that fucking plant that only came out like in the moon.
Yes. I grew up watching that, and that's I think about that constantly when I think of my flowers and how much I love my flowers.
Was it like 25 years he was like pruning this thing?
Just once every like 100 years.
This thing it like dies horribly.
He didn't get to see it. Oh, even when I was little, I was like heartbroken by that.
Oh yeah. It's the best, but that was a good one. I used to love that one. I like when he gets his teeth knocked out and he has puts the chiclets in there.
Yes.
That's like
classic.
One of the only things I remember about that movie.
Also, I like when he shoots the ball of paint into the ball of paint and wood, and it shoots into the chicken. Walter Matthau's eating it, and he's like, "Tastes like paint and wood."
Welcome to Scream Bloody Dennis the Menace.
That sounds like a disturbing podcast. That's the podcast hosted by Mr. Wilson after he finally caught him.
Yeah. Dude, I loved what's his face's character in that movie?
Oh, yeah,
Doc
Christopher
Brown.
Lloyd.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd.
As the
Yeah.
weird, like, hobo man. Yeah.
Yes. And the beans.
My favorite is when he, like, goes and he
I hate that.
cuts the fucking apple when the little kid and just eats it, like, right in front of him.
Yes. How terrifying.
He was like in a completely different movie.
And like blow a hole in his underwear or something.
Yeah. He sure does. He sure does. We're waiting on a comment because Derek will tell more stories about underwear. If you just comment that you want to hear the brown short story.
I keep telling everybody not to comment about that. So they're listening to me. Clearly I'm the favorite from the audience.
In the words of Arnold, do it! Do it now! All right, guys. Let's get into the horror news. Because I've got a pretty good little run of them. So let's start with this one here. Alexandra Daddario, we all know and love her, correct?
Yes.
She is starring in a new Anne Rice series called Mayfair Witches for AMC.
Ooh.
It will focus on an intuitive young neurosurgeon who discovers that she is the likely heir to a family of witches. As she grapples with her newfound powers, she must contend with a sinister presence that has haunted her family for generations. What do you guys think of this?
Sounds intense.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm happy for her to be a lead in something. She's great in most things she's in. The boyfriend one, my dead ex-girlfriend or whatever. Remember that one?
Yeah, I do. I like that one.
With Anton Yelchin in it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Was he in that one?
No, I never saw that.
Yeah, he's in it. He was
in a really good movie called Odd Thomas.
Yeah, but that's not this one.
No,
Odd
Shout
Thomas
out to
is
Odd
good
Thomas.
too. Yeah,
I love Odd Thomas. Yeah, Odd Thomas is great. It's got William Dafoe in it. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
I read the book. The book is better.
There's multiple books. Multiple Odd Thomas books. Yeah. I have a couple of them. I didn't even know what it was.
I just 3 of them.
I was so devastated when he died.
Yeah, it was a tragedy.
Legitimate.
We all were.
Yeah.
We all were.
He had such a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do for Star Trek 4. I mean, they said they're not going to recast him, so they're just going to have to write Chekhov off.
It's terrible.
It is. So, guys, this is really interesting news. Apparently, Kristen Stewart was asked to star in Scream 4's opening kill sequence.
Really? And she obviously turned it down.
She did, so let's see what she says. During a recent interview with Slant, she explained, it's the Drew Barrymore character that gets killed in the beginning, and they created a whole sequence where a lot of people get killed to emulate the Drew thing. But it wasn't just one person, and I was like, I can't do a Drew. I can't touch that. You know what I mean? But yeah. So then they ended up doing, if I remember correctly, a larger sequence and not just one victim. And she said, maybe I would read the script. I love if she would be in a new Scream. She said, I love Dev Campbell so much. She's very nice to me, and it was very satisfying that she's a nice person. I love the first Scream. I watched it recently as an adult, though. It's so gnarly. I love the movie because it loves movies. So I love how much Wes Craven loves movies and how embedded that is. So she would be interested in doing the new Scream movie. What do you guys think of this news? Is that kind of would you have liked to have seen her as a shocking or as the opening kill in Scream 4, or do you like the way it ended up turning out?
Scream 4. Oh, I just realized what you said about Scream 4. Man, I have not watched that since it came out. But I remember it being like pretty cool how I liked Scream 4.
Yeah, I like Scream 4 quite a bit too.
So that's the
Yeah,
one
I
with
can't really
Hayden.
imagine Kristen Stewart in it.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, it's the one with Hayden Panettiere.
So I gotta say, I love her answer. I think it was probably
Yeah.
the best answer she could have given.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely that's a legit reason for her to have turned that down. But I mean, maybe see her in a Scream movie if I imagine the script's got to be right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be on board.
Yeah, it would have been cool. Yeah, I would be on board for future, but I'm glad we got the sequence we did because we had Kristen Bell in it. We had a bunch of other. So we had Kristen Bell, like Anna Paquin's in it, I think, as well. There's a bunch of like they
It's
do
coming back to me.
I
kill
totally
within.
forgot
They
all
do
of
a
that.
movie within a movie, a movie within a movie,
Yeah.
and then finally the actual
Yes.
kill. So yeah, it's
I
fun
remember
stuff.
the plot of it. I just don't remember who's in it.
But we'll have to get to Scream 4. We have to go through 3 or 2 other Screams, but we'll get there. So, guys, it's that time of the week. It's time for everybody's favorite segment of Scream Bloody Movies, the Monsters News.
They took a look at the dailies and decided to cancel the project. So what are you gonna say?
Just last week, you said some nice things about the Munsters, Derek. Now you're back
A
off
whole
the
new
train.
week. Whole new week.
So Mr. Zombie shared some interior shots of the set. Would you like to see them?
Why not?
Let's see it.
Okay. Here we go.
Chair is so noisy.
What do you think of that?
Ah. Beautiful. Ooh.
Ooh.
Ah.
I'm seeing these for the first time too.
Nice.
Oh man,
Could you imagine building this?
Yeah, that looks great. I think that looks great.
I want to live there.
Man, that's the dream, you know?
Yeah. It's definitely looks like the Munsters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like my old house.
Oh, yeah.
For all the listeners, that's what my old house looked like. I upgraded to the Addams Family.
Addams Family house, what you upgraded to? You did your house did have some haunted shit going on, your old one.
Oh yeah. Yes.
That much is for sure.
Did. That's for another podcast.
Mm-hmm. We'll tell that story. There's some good stuff in there. We'll talk
this
about that.
for real?
Oh, yeah.
Comment if you want to hear about Lydia's haunted house story.
All right. I'm gonna comment. I want to hear about it.
So what do you guys think of that? Those pictures.
That's awesome. Yeah. Looks good. Is the movie gonna be in color? Do we know?
I would imagine it would be. I don't think the studio would be down with it being a black and white PG rated comedy. They would probably.
Well, I just thought about it, and the picture that he shared of their makeup was a black and white picture.
I think they're probably saving the color reveal for later.
Okay.
I would imagine. I mean, it's a possibility that's black and white. That set deck looked like it had a lot of color in it too. So I would imagine that it's colored. I think it's a color movie.
Yeah.
Does that?
I think that's one of the
funnest
funnest things. Yeah, I didn't even think about it in the beginning because I was just like, it's clearly like a black and white, like all the things we're seeing, and yeah, that's one of the interesting things is the color of the characters.
Yeah,
are not what you would think.
Yeah, they're going to have to do like a bluish for Herman.
Yeah,
bluish green for Herman. Yep.
Yeah.
That would be really clever marketing on their behalf if like the theatrical version is color, but then when they get to the DVD or the Blu-ray, have a version on there that's black and white to bolster those sales, because I think there'd be a lot of people that remember the Munsters that would want to see it in its original black and white self. So.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean that's what
Derek
they've done.
Wouldn't know either way.
No.
Got him. Got him.
I'm just gonna pretend like that didn't happen, Lydia.
For any new listeners, Derek thought he watched The Wolfman in color.
And then he checked the movie and said, "Oh no, you're right. It was black and white."
I was multitasking. Just
one
to
of the
clarify.
best. One of the best. So
we'll never let you live it down.
Never
I
ever.
guess not.
We might be having some T-shirt designs with that eventually. So look out for those.
Is that movie in color?
So this is pretty cool, guys. It's horror. It's not really horror related, but it's horror adjacent, this next bit of news, because it's about one of our all-time favorite horror movie directors, Sam Raimi. And Sam Raimi stated that, so he's made Doctor Strange. He signed for the sequel, I do believe. But we already talked about how he said he would want to do a Batman movie. He also said that he would be super interested in doing another Spider-Man movie. He wants to do a new Spider-Man movie. And he also wants to make an adaptation of The Shadow. Now, wouldn't you just give Sam Raimi money to make all of these movies?
All with The Shadow. You know what he would be the perfect director for?
Everything?
Well, yes. But I would love to see him do a Justice League Dark.
Oh, yeah, he'd be great for that too, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, that would be amazing. With Keanu Reeves as Constantine.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. You love Constantine, don't you, Lydia?
I do.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
He's talked about doing a sequel to that movie.
He wants to do one, yeah. You have a bang issue?
I'm letting my hair grow out, and it's literally pissing me off.
You're like, damn you! I got mine cut, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. So would you guys be down with Sam Raimi directing another Spider-Man movie, for instance?
Yep.
And
definitely.
A Batman movie?
Yep.
Sure, why not?
Yep.
Dude, he would
Of
do
course.
it. Oh, man. I would love to see his Batman Scarecrow adaptation.
Oh, yeah. It'd be great. This is just a little side tangent, but this is very funny. Nicolas Cage was being interviewed for at South by Southwest, and they talked to him about the new Batman, and he was like, "I'll tell you." He asked him if he ever wanted to be a Batman character, and he said he would love to play the Vincent Price villain Egghead in a new Batman adaptation. And it fucking cracked me. I was like, you clearly did not see the Batman, did you? That's not the right tone for this movie, bro.
I didn't see the villain he suggested, but I do think he could probably do a good job, but definitely not that villain.
Not for that movie. No. Can you imagine?
Might as well be Calendar Man.
The trailer comes out and it's like, what do we have here? He leaves an egg at the scene of every crime. A smiley face egg rolls around, and then he's like, excellent.
Oh my gosh.
Dear Lord.
It sounds right to me.
Yeah, it sounds right. It'd be perfect.
If you could cast him as a Batman villain, who would it be?
Scarecrow. Or Doctor or Hugo Strange.
Yeah, I agree with both of those.
So we've never seen Hugo Strange on screen. That'd be cool.
No, we haven't. You're right.
Oh,
I was thinking of Clayface.
He'd be a good Clayface too. He would be a good Clayface too. I think Hush is going to be one of the next villains because we've never seen him on screen either. Welcome to Scream Bloody Batman, the podcast where we talk about the Dark Knight and all of his adventures.
Hey, no joke. We could totally start that one.
Yeah.
I don't know where we find the time, but
we'll have to slip it in somewhere. This is pretty cool. R.L. Stine has written a new Goosebumps book to celebrate 30 years of Goosebumps called Slappy Beware.
Oh, no.
That's amazing.
Yeah. What do you guys think of this?
I want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be released September 20th of this year. So that's cool that he's writing a new Goosebumps book, right? That's pretty awesome.
No, that's amazing. I can't imagine being relevant in that medium for 30 years.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people have written a book and then just went off to obscurity?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like
tons.
Millions of people.
Yeah.
Throughout history.
What's...
Go ahead.
Goosebumps was very important, really, to introducing a huge swath of people to horror. Young people.
Oh, yeah.
I remember reading those books. I never found them scary because I was watching Nightmare on Elm Street and shit, but I used to love those books. And the TV show, of course, was great.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And finally, the last bit of news we have here. The fan film, Never Hike Alone, is getting its sequel made finally. And it is launching an Indiegogo fundraiser. And in the just 24 hours, it's already raised $33,000. And it's looking to raise $150,000. Did you guys see Never Hike Alone?
Nope. Haven't seen it.
It's good. And
I remember you telling us about it.
And the prequel, Never Hike in the Snow, was good too. So, I mean, this might be the only chance we get to see Jason on screen for a while, is with this fan-made verse. It has Tommy Jarvis back in it. Tom Matthews from Part 6 is Tommy Jarvis. So, he's back. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that? Would you be down to? Are you down to see it? Do you think people should donate so we get to see this movie?
Yeah, I just wrote it down. I'm gonna go look for it and watch it, and I'm not gonna donate to it because I have $0 to my name right now.
What do you think, Derek?
I'm curious of a lot of things, like the legal standpoint of it all, collecting funds. Obviously, those are the pay people, so you're not making money off of the actual film.
Correct.
So it's like walking that line.
Yeah, it's walking the line where they don't profit off the movie and they release it for free, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just to raise the money to make the movie. That's how they get away with it.
Do they have any? How long were the other videos? I think I've watched Never Hike in the Snow, but
Never Hike in the Snow was like 55 minutes, I think. Shorter. It was the shorter one. It was 35, I think. The other one was about 55. Never Hike Alone was about 55 minutes. So it's like, 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah, well, these doofuses are tied up in court battles.
Yeah.
Like wasting time and wasting the money that they could be making. You have people out there that are trying to make a fan film about this beloved character that they, just want to see on screen again. Like, come on, man, get your stuff together.
Yeah. In the meantime, Stomp Films will continue to make these movies, and I'll continue to support it.
Yeah, you know what? I might go donate.
Do it. Do it now. I'm Arnold tonight. I just can't stop it.
Get to the chopper.
And that concludes the horror news this week, guys. Excuse me. So, Derek and Lydia. Lydia and Derek. It's time to talk about Wes Craven's 1989 slasher, crazy ass fun flick, Shocker. So, Lydia, this is your first time watching Shocker, yeah?
Yes.
Have you ever even heard of it? Did you have any prior exposure to Shocker?
No, it was never on my radar until you brought it up. Never heard of it, never thought of it. Maybe seen the cover, but didn't really. Just never saw it. Just never got around to it.
Nice. So you're coming in fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, tell us. This is your first time watching Shocker. I know that. Tell us about your Shocker story.
No, this is not my first time. Although it might as well have been. This movie came out in 1989.
Yes.
So I was 6. I probably saw this movie in the mid 90s. I probably haven't seen this movie since the mid to late 90s. So some of the stuff was there, and I can recall it. Like the football, not in great detail, but the football scene and just some of the other stuff. But like, it might as well have been the first time I watched it. It's been so long ago.
I have a very long history with Shocker. I remember seeing it for the first time as a kid because I remember seeing the some TV spots for it. I remember seeing the poster. The poster's iconic of Horace Pinker in the orange jumpsuit in the electric chair. I remember hearing that it was the guy that made Freddy, so I was looking for Freddy the first time I saw it because I was young and I didn't know what was going on. And then in the mid 90s, I watched it again and got a little more of appreciation for it, but was like, oh yeah, that's a movie. And then later, I fell in love with this movie and bought it on Blu-ray, and I've watched this movie. I'm not kidding. I watch it every year, at least a couple times a year. So I've seen this movie since I bought the Blu-ray multiple times. So there was one point where I was watching it tonight. I walked into the other room to grab a drink and I left it playing. And Sarah says, hey, you're missing your movie. And I was like, oh, it's all right. And I'm getting my water and she's like, wait, is that Shocker? I said, yeah. She's like, oh yeah, you've seen Shocker a lot. I said, yeah, by the time I go back, this is the scene that's going to be happening. And I walked in and it was exactly the scene that's going to be happening. And I was like, excellent. And I started drinking my water and I was good to go.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So let's start at the beginning. Shocker has, in my opinion, one of the best openings ever. It's very reminiscent of Nightmare on Elm Street, except with some kick-ass 80s metal.
Yes.
Love it. I can't love it any more than I already love it. It's the fucking Shocker theme. Shocker.
Yep, no, yep, to a T. That's exactly what my thoughts were when I saw this. I was like, this is strangely reminiscent to the opening of A Nightmare on Elm Street, but you're right. Instead of having like the heavy breathing and the, just the undertone music, it's definitely the heavy metal stuff. But yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
There's a lot in this movie that reminds you of Nightmare on Elm Street. We'll get into it.
Yep.
And the reason why. What were your thoughts on this opening, Lydia?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I really loved the metal. Definitely, I was like, I could see why Jamie loves this movie.
Yeah. The songs throughout the movie are awesome.
Yes. And I totally agree. I loved it. I was like, you don't get this. You don't get this anymore.
No.
Where did this go?
And it actually sets up quite a bit just in that opening too, that upon repeat viewings you'll notice. But yeah, like, I mean, it sets up, he's a TV repairman. He knows about electricity and all of that, but it also sets up the different channels on the other that play a part in the end of the movie. Some of the stuff that they end up on in the channels, and it of course gives us the backstory to the slasher, Horace Pinker, who's going around fucking just killing people in the town, and he's a phantom at this point. Nobody's seen him, nobody's heard of him. He just goes in and kills families. And guys, one of the first victims that we see that they throw a blanket over is actually Heather Langenkamp.
Yep.
Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yep. Makes a cameo.
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yep. The one that's laying on the ground and they put the blanket over. It's Heather Langenkamp.
She's actually in the credits.
Yep. Like. And she did it as a little favor to Wes. So this movie shares a lot of DNA with Nightmare on Elm Street because not only is it written and directed by Wes Craven, of course, not only is Horace Pinker his next attempt at a new Freddy character, but it's also shot by Jock Haken, who also shot Nightmare on Elm Street. So it was like and a bunch of the crew members from that movie, so they all kind of came over to do this. So we go from there to, we're introduced to our main character, Jonathan, and he turns off the news and we see that he's like kind of like a cool, kind of cavalier, cocky college kid. That woman, by the way, the young girl at the Coke stand, is Wes Craven's real life daughter.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Did not know that. Yep.
She says, hope you don't play football like you live your life.
Yeah. We find out he does.
Yes. So guys, this next scene in the football, what do you guys think about this football scene?
I've got a couple thoughts about the football scene.
Go ahead.
What are they? Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first off, it's interesting to see football scenes in like these older movies.
80s movies, like, especially. Yeah.
Yeah. They're so bad. but anyway, there's that. And then like some of the montages of him like running through and doing all the stuff. And then when he's showing off to his girlfriend and he gets like just destroyed by that guy, that's one thing. The second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one, man, I was dying laughing.
Yeah, it's a great bit. It's funny because like I like the football scenes because I like the way it's shot. It's fun.
It definitely is fun.
And I love that, they could have made him a quarterback, but they decided to make him a wide receiver.
He's a tight end, actually.
Yeah, and so it's like, and then you have his best friend Rhino is a defensive back essentially, or linebacker, one of the two. And he gets destroyed the first time. Then the second time he tells him, check your shoelaces, you're going to kill yourself. And then knocks him over, catches a pass and like is showing off and just crashes into that goalpost, knocks himself out. What did you think of this, Lydia? Because you're seeing this for the first time.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, where is this going? Like, it's got some like, little comedic parts. I'm trying to figure out who our characters are. I didn't really I wasn't sure like who the main characters were because of the Coke stand girl.
Yeah.
Who is apparently Wes Craven's daughter. I was like, is she the main character? Is she the girlfriend? Is she the main character? And then you see, so I was just trying to figure everything out at this point.
Yeah. When he hits his head, when he runs into that goalpost, it's funny, but it also sets the plot in motion because it jars loose his psychic connection that he ends up having with Horace Pinker.
Yep.
And then we're introduced in this scene to the coach, Pac-Man, and Alice, who is his girlfriend. You guys know who Pac-Man is, right?
Yes.
The great Ted Raimi.
Yep. Makes an appearance.
Yep.
Makes his cameo.
Yep.
He actually has a little bit of a role in this. So.
Yeah, he has a little role here. The coach, I love this guy that plays the coach. He cracks me up, man. He's really funny.
Yeah.
Like when after he's knocked himself out and he's like, "You look like shit," incidentally. That's just such a funny line.
Well, I mean, at that point, he probably had a concussion.
Oh, he 100% did.
Yeah,
and nowadays we would do something about that. Then we just have Ted Raimi say, "Hey, you might have a concussion. Are you all right?" "Yeah, I'm fine." "All right. Go knock over the Gatorade stand."
Yeah, here's the reason why I think he was a tight end and not necessarily a wide receiver. Not that it matters to anybody, but because I thought he was a wide receiver, but then he lined up on the line.
He does line up on the line, but that could also just be,
it could have been they didn't know
football.
Yeah, they didn't know football. That's definitely that could have been, but that was my original thought. I was like, is he a tight end? That's where Dallas Clark's jersey number. Just throwing it out there.
So anyway, his little dialogue here with Alice is pretty good when we introduced to her. And he pretends like he doesn't know who she is, and she tells him, and they have like a little fun little banter back and forth. And we see that she's a nice character and she's a virgin because they've never slept together. And the next scene, we see them walking home, and the color is degraded in the film. If you notice, it's definitely bluer. And they end up on the street of his parents' house. Like, he's like, I grew up here. This is where my family lives still. And we see like little kids run and disappear. What'd you guys think of that shot?
I missed it. I was like, yeah, I forget. I think we were like eating or something while we were doing it. So like every time I would look down, Jake would be like, "Oh, look," and then I would be like, "What? What happened?" You miss it, like a blink of an eye, it happens. And he rewound it 3 times so that I could see it.
You're like, "What's going on?"
So I finally saw it, and I was like, "Okay, that's confusing." I was like, "I have no idea why that just happened."
It's a cool looking shot, though, and it gets explained here in a second. But
yes.
So Jonathan goes into his parents' house, sees his brother dead on the floor with his fingers like fucking chopped up and broken. Goes up and sees his mom and his sister being held by Horace Pinkert, played by the great Mitch Pileggi. Jonathan is played by Peter Berg, by the way. But Mitch Pileggi plays Horace Pinkert. And guys, Horace Pinkert is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
he's so scary.
He's so good. He's one of the best. Yeah, they should have made a dozen Horace Pinkert movies, in my opinion, because he's fucking great.
He's so crazy.
So he's holding him hostage, and he, Jonathan jumps at him, and he freaking wakes up in bed. So, Lydia, the first time you're seeing this movie, and you see Horace Pinkert, first of all, so you think he's scary immediately, right?
Yeah, I mean, because it sets him up. Someone scary is committing murders.
Yeah.
And then you see him like these ghost children. What just happened? I don't know. And then you see him like in the house. I'm like, what is going on here? So, and he plays this character so intensely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an extreme character. Like,
yeah.
What? Like what?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, he just like attacks. He's like attacking them, and like he jumps through them and then wakes up. What? I was like, oh, okay, so it was a dream, but it must have been some kind of reality to it.
Yeah,
I just couldn't connect how. Like, how is this happening?
Yeah. What were you saying, Derek?
I was gonna say I can't think of a person that you would replace him with.
No.
He does such a great job in this movie.
No.
Like he is all in
Yes.
Oh, I got
for this
one.
character. Like he embodies the character. Who?
What? You, Tom Atkins?
I'm curious.
No, actually, I thought about that after I said that, but I was gonna say Nick Cage.
Yeah, Nick Cage maybe now, but no. Mitch Pileggi is perfect in this role. Like
Yes,
he was
I agree.
like born to play.
Yeah, Nick Cage would do a real good crazy person, but like this guy, man, his intensity in these scenes is just like next level.
Plus, he's beefy
fantastic.
he's beefy and has a big, so he fills the frame as well. So yeah,
he's genuinely intimidating and scary.
Yeah,
as this character.
If I were on film, I probably would have wet myself at least 3 times. If I were in this movie.
So when he so he wakes up and gets a phone call from his foster dad saying we don't hear the conversation, but we arrive at the crime scene and we find out that his parents were killed. So he dreamed these murders as they were happening. And we don't understand why yet. We don't understand any of it. We're just like, okay. And so then we get like a funeral scene of him. We're introduced to his dad, detective. And what's his last name? It's Don's his first name. Parker, Detective Parker, because he's Jonathan Parker. So we're introduced to Detective Parker, and this fucking piece of shit reporter comes up to him and he's like, hey, since the killer has slaughtered your whole family, are you going to make it more? Are you, going to more intensely look for him? And Jonathan about rips his face off. What do you, like what a piece of trash.
Twice the news people like screw this family over. This is one. Like, how do you approach somebody and say that to them right after their family got killed?
No, exactly. Ridiculous.
Pricks.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Also in this scene, like,
go ahead.
After I think I jumped the gun. Go ahead.
So when they end up at a bar after the funeral scene, and Jonathan tells his dad, hey, I saw this guy. I saw the murders as they happened. And he's like, well, everybody has bad dreams about when these things happen. He's like, no, I saw it. He was killed this way. These fingers were broken. They died up in the room. And he's just like in shock. So he leaves and he's like, what, are you on drugs or something? And he tells him that he saw the van, but the only way he'll tell him what's going on is if he's there. He has to be there. What do you guys think of this little back and forth with the dad? This whole scene, I thought it was pretty well done.
I think it's pretty well done, but I feel like the dad isn't upset enough.
I think he's replaced his grief with just pure anger. Is what how I feel. Yeah.
I just feel like neither of them are upset enough that their family was just murdered.
Might be shocked.
I think in some scenes they are, but like he goes to like football practice like the next day. It's like don't do that.
You have to
I just
normality.
Don't agree with that.
I don't know if it's necessarily the next day because we don't know the time frame that ends up happening, but like
it feels that way to me. I'm like, when you're going through grief, you can't think about anything else. You can't just do things.
Some other people grieve differently.
That's fair.
So that's the way. I mean, some people move forward to push through it. So
they usually suppress it and then they deal with it later.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And in this case,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say in this case, they're more interested in catching this guy so they can bring him to justice. That's what they're just focused on. I feel like. What were you going to say, Derek?
So I definitely did jump the gun because what I was going to say directly correlates to this scene. His dad is just a twit, man. If I just told my dad
Yes.
very intimate things about the crime scene that I did not see, and he just blows it off like, "What are you on drugs or something?" I probably would have punched him in the face. But
Also, if he knew, like, that would make him number one suspect.
It
that
would.
totally would make him the
It
number one
would.
suspect.
And I don't know. I think the reason that he's not is because he probably he had an alibi.
Yeah,
he had an alibi. He was at home.
Sleep with.
Yeah, he was
his
in bed
girlfriend,
with the girl, and they called him at his house. So it couldn't have been him. So I think that's why he was pretty much wiped off the suspect list pretty early. But yeah. So this next scene, they end up at Pinker's TV repair shop because he saw the van parked out front. And what do you guys think of this scene? Because I really like this scene.
Oh yeah, it's a good scene. I do love how he jeopardizes the entire thing by breaking in to this place.
Kind of, yes. Okay, so legally, yes, but not if all those cops backed up the story that this place was broken into first, because it's their word versus the word of a.
It would just have to take one person, or this was really mid '80s, so they probably didn't
late
have
80s,
like a camera system to like capture everything. But if there was a witness or anything like that, any evidence they would have collected would have been.
Yeah, I kind of like the way that they play it, which is he's like, break in. He's like, I can't do that. There was already a break in here. We're responding to it. Okay, go ahead and do it. You also have to, he's probably thinking with his hate at this point as well.
100.
Want to catch this son of a bitch.
I would have done the exact same thing. I'm just saying. If I broke in there and I found the guy, I would have made sure he didn't leave. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
So they get him, or they go in there to try to find him, and he's nowhere to be seen. He is actually hiding behind a false wall of a bookshelf, which he ends up grabbing a police officer and killing him. Jonathan walks over and sees the cigarette, and then the blood starts to pour out from underneath. What do you guys think of that shot? I love it.
So good.
It's great, right?
It's really scary,
and he also
too,
keeps trying
that
to tell
he's
people
in
like,
there.
Yeah. You
like,
can see him looking. Yeah. Yeah, then he so he goes out dressed as the cop, and he kills both of those other cops. Like, he stabs the one girl in the stomach, but then he slits the other dude's throat. What do you guys think of that throat slit?
I was like, that looks like something I could do maybe sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lydia was
pretty
probably
good.
Like,
I liked it.
think I could do that better.
Yeah. Looks pretty good.
I think he did too.
It did. It looked good. I really liked the guy's face, the actor. His throat slit face really was on point. Loved it.
You know what else? I really love the color of the blood in this movie. Like, it's hard to get it just right, and I think they get it just right, and it's just like dark. Yeah. And the way it moves, I really like it. So he kills all the police officers and escapes in his truck. What do you guys do? You guys like this scene?
I do, because it this leads to the second time that the news screws this family over.
Yeah. Like, so why would they report that?
I know, right? Yeah, let's say that. Let's give the name of the person who ID'd the killer before he's caught.
Yeah,
because that makes sense.
Not the best idea. Not the best idea.
No,
now they 100%.
I'd have sued the crap out of them.
And I love the scene of Pinker watching the news, and he's like giving his little commentary. He's like, "Shit, little shit." And he like rips out his thing and like folds it. I'm like, oh man, Pinker's so scary. I would not want to run into that guy.
You know what this kind of kind of harkening back to the Nightmare on Elm Street like overlap that this movie has this is kind of the backstory that you didn't get to see, at least in cinema, for the original series. You didn't get to
Yeah.
see how Kruger became Kruger. This is a backstory to set up how this character became who he was. Like it's great. I like it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
It made sense.
Yeah, it made sense. What do you think, Lydia?
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I had Jake bring me a water.
We started talking about pepperoni pizza and if it's good or not.
No,
So I think the knife is really cool.
The knife is actually really cool. That is a good point. We will talk about that. His knife is really cool. He's got a really cool knife. It's very distinct.
Just a random point I'm going to bring up. Like you guys were talking about that, maybe?
Yeah. He was talking about the backstory and how it's kind of the unknown, or kind of like the untold story of Freddy. Like we get his backstory in story, but we're actually seeing Horace Pinker become Horace Pinker, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So next on the kill list is Alice. What do you guys think of? I like her. I think she's good in this, and I think the relationship is very sweet. Her and Jonathan's relationship together is very sweet. And so when he leaves, first of all, the opening of this scene, when you hear him grunting and you think it's going to be sex, then you pan over and he's doing like fucking pull-ups, is hilarious to me.
I
knew it. I was like, there's no way.
Well, I knew it wasn't going to be that because she's taking a bath.
Yeah. And
right,
then
it shows her.
And then when they introduced the massage chair in this point, which comes to be one of my all-time favorite scenes in this movie later. But we're introduced to the massage chair. He gives her a necklace, which is a very important plot point in this movie as well. Gives her a necklace because it's her birthday, and he, gives her a kiss, and she says, I love you so much, Jonathan, and all this sweet stuff. And you see how much she cares about him. And there's this great shot where he's sitting in the driveway in his car. And he's just like he's almost like he doesn't want to leave because he feels funny about it. Yeah. But he decides to. And he decides to go to practice. And then she's attacked by Pinker. And then the coach tells him to go home, and he sees the crime scene. He goes home and sees the blood and, the message on the mirror and just the whole place covered in blood and her in the bathtub. What do you guys think of this whole sequence of events here?
Can I be honest with you?
It's crazy.
You know what kind of took me out of the whole scene?
What?
The remote control. Man, it was like a brick.
Yeah,
it's
when
giant.
She pulled it up and she turned it off, I was like, man, I think I had one. We had one of those when I was younger.
Yeah, that was the way back then.
It didn't take me out of the scene, but it was like a sore thumb. I was just like, oh, that thing's huge. But it is good. He is sitting there like he knows, he has an intuition that something's about to happen. And he has that mental connection to whoever he turns out to be. We don't know. So yeah, that hesitation really adds a lot to that scene. And it's tragic because she's a very innocent person. She really comes across that way on film as a super innocent person. And then it's a very brutal death.
It is
as well,
very brutal.
So that makes it even worse.
Like the most brutal.
It is.
It is. Based on what we find out in a little bit, like he might have, I'm reading into it, but like when we find out their connection, like he could have taken it to the next level because of what she meant to him.
Oh, that's 100%
more personal.
Yeah, That's 100% why he brutalized her.
A normal kill.
I mean, that whole bathroom is covered in blood, guys. I mean, it's like
top to bottom,
all the walls and the bathtub, and he's, destroyed with grief. His dad comes and picks him up and is like, I told you not to let him in here. What's wrong with you people? And gets him out. And then we have the funeral where he has a necklace on her body and he's saying his goodbyes. There's a sweet moment I realized when I was watching it where we see her parents like at the gravesite, and they call Jonathan up to stand by the grave as it lowers, which was really nice. So it's very emotional. It works, I think. I think it works for what it's supposed to do. And this next shot is one of my favorite shots in the whole movie, where we see him, and the music kicks in, and he's standing at the top of the football stadium. And we see the flags waving and everything. It's a fucking gorgeous shot. And the way that music plays, it's so cool. I just love it. And then we see his car parked on the track, and he goes down to Rhino. And we find out they're having some sort of plan. We don't know what yet. And we find out the plan is for him to go to sleep. It's the Nancy plan, man. It's the Nancy plan. Except instead of grabbing Pinker, it's to see where he is. Because he knows when he dreams, he's seeing this guy. They have a connection. So he falls asleep. And we cut to him standing. They pull up, and he stands on the street of this corner, so he knows where they're supposed to go, and goes up and confronts Horace. What do you guys think of this scene where he's confronting Horace?
I'm having so many thoughts. I'm just like, there's so many things in between that and this that is like,
talk about them.
Go ahead,
it's just like the grief process is one thing I can't get past. I'm just like, there's so many things that I know, like you said, everybody has a different process, and that's fine. But I'm just like, he just seems so chill after seeing so many dead bodies in such a short amount of time, of literally the closest people to him.
Yeah, but you also, would you want to watch a movie where he just sits in bed for 40 fucking minutes? No.
I just wish he seemed sadder or something. Or angrier.
He's very angry. He wants to kill him. And he shows the anger very well when he finally confronts Pinker in this scene.
Well, okay, so because he's dreaming and he goes into a building. It doesn't tell us how he knew where he would be. I don't think
it's because
he dreamt it. Yeah.
When he dreams, he ends up in the places where Pinker is. That's how he ends up at his parents' house.
When he wakes up,
and
then they go to the place.
Yeah. When he wakes up, he's still.
I guess it was just confusing because it's like they go to the place twice.
Yeah.
Together.
So he pulls up there because it's in his dream. He pulls up in the dream.
Okay.
And
I gotcha.
And sees Pinker, and he's about to kill this woman. And he confronts him, and tells him to come and get him instead. Rhino wakes him up before Pinker can get him.
Mm-hmm.
And
which I thought was the plan.
Yeah. Yes, that was the plan. Is for him, Rhino, to wake him, so then they could go to the place and stop him. So they show up, but the police are actually following them. So the police arrive there too, and they go upstairs. Jonathan and Rhino push past the police to get up there anyway. And there's this great standoff with the police and Pinker. I love this scene.
Yeah.
Because
real quick,
go ahead.
The dream sequence that he had to get to this point. is that the first reference he has to? Because does he say something along the lines of, "Do you want in on this action?" or something like that?
I think so. And then the very next scene, he alludes to it a little more too,
Oh yeah, no,
because
on the
yeah,
rooftop, he
yeah, on
definitely
the rooftop,
he,
yeah,
he knows
yeah. So in this, he's
at that
trying
point.
to, goad him into it, and I
Hmm.
love the intensity with the cops when he's like holding the woman, and he's like, he's Don's like, I'll blow your fucking head off. He's like, go ahead, do it. I think she'll love it. And then he says, are you guys hungry down there? Eat this, and throws her. And Jonathan jumps over and chases him. He chases him up on the roof, and Horace Pinker throws the ladder down. So Jonathan makes a leap of faith across the building, and then they have this fight scene, which the fight scene I think is actually well choreographed and very hard hitting.
Hmm.
Because it's not like
I'd
movie
say,
fights; it's like just sloppy them hitting each other with shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then before he can kill Jonathan, the police arrive to arrest him. What are you guys'
yeah.
thoughts on this scene?
I like it. I think the only problem I have with it is the girl that's being attacked in the dream. I don't think she does fine in the reality, but in the dream she like comes back towards the guy who was just about to kill her.
Yeah, she
Just
does,
to,
and I
like
think
say something.
well, she's
And
saying
I was
something
like,
to Jonathan, and I don't know why she just didn't run off. But she's also in
yeah,
shock, I suppose. I don't know.
yeah.
But
She comes this close to getting a slit
killed.
throat
Yeah, he
for
swipes
coming
at her.
back for some. I was like,
Yeah.
what in the world is that? Like, that was so unnecessary to me. But that's the only thing. Everything else was awesome. I loved the fight. I loved the confrontation that you didn't expect.
Yeah.
From the police just showing up and his dad showing up, and that was cool. Yeah, I liked the fight scene was intense when he jumped across that roof. I was like, oh hell no,
Not me.
not
Dude, but he
me.
cleared it
That
with
on no
such
roofs.
ease. If I were his buddy,
Yeah, he did.
who's also on the football team, I'd have been like, man, I could do that. After I just
Yeah,
saw him do it.
Yeah, but then you'd be the
that
one to
was
go,
Jake's reaction too.
oh!
Jake was like, that looks so easily jumpable.
Jacob thinks he
I was
can
like,
jump
yeah,
anything,
for people
though.
who can jump,
Yeah,
can
Jake
jump
thinks he
just
can
about
jump
anything.
anything.
I
And he
I
can't.
am not that delusional. I know I would fall to my death. But after I just saw that one guy jump it, and I'm pretty sure I'm just as athletic as he is, I know I could jump it. What are you talking about? But anyway,
Yeah.
the fight scene here is really good. The last fight scene reminds me of a wrestling match. But
Yeah,
we'll get to
and
that in a little bit.
yeah, this one kind of has some wrestling moves too. He totally gives him like a scoop slam and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then they break the window and everything. And when the police come and arrest him, he says, oh, you want to kill me. You like the killing, huh? It's in the blood. It's in
Yeah.
it's in our blood. Killing's in our blood.
Yeah.
And then he says, I want to he's like fucking super intense. He's like, I want to go, I'll kill you. And he's like, I want to watch him die. I want to see him die. If they give him the chair, I want him to die. And he says, I've earned it. And he says, yeah, maybe we both earned it. I'll get his front row seats. So then we have a time jump, and we don't know exactly how long, but it has to be some amount of time. In real life, it would be way longer because you have to go through appeals and whatnot. But they couldn't have the movie jump to 20 years later. So it's quite a bit. It's a little bit later. We just don't know how long.
You know what?
But go ahead.
I would have totally went vigilante. I would have personally, like if I were the main character in this, if I were Jonathan, I totally would have went vigilante and just tried to like take that guy out. Anyway.
Well, that's what he tried to do, but then the police were there.
I mean, I would have brought a gun.
Oh,
it's
I'd have
hard
been
when
like
you're
the
just
Punisher.
yeah. Dude, that was my whole thing watching this was like, what is his plan? He is going after this maniac completely unarmed.
He's not unarmed, man. He had fucking Rhino right there with him. And Rhino takes
on the other side of the roof.
But he didn't know he was going to have to jump a roof. It was going to be him and Rhino versus Horace Pinker, and Horace Pinker's got a limp. So they're probably like...
Yeah, but he's still like a supernatural maniac that has like...
He becomes a supernatural maniac. He's just a maniac right now at this point.
Well, he has no fear, and people, you know...
Oh, no, he's completely a sociopath and has absolutely no fear whatsoever.
Yeah. You know what? I would have 2 words. He
doesn't have a fear of dying, which makes him scary.
Yeah.
I'd had 2 words for my friend Rhino.
Suck it.
No, I'd have been like, you can't jump? Something.
That's 3 words.
I'd have never left. No, can't jump?
Oh, can't
I guess
jump.
I said you.
Yeah.
I guess it would make more sense. Anyway, I would have definitely called him out and been like, buddy, where were you, man?
Derek would have turned around and been like, no jumpy?
Yeah.
No jumpy.
That's 2 words.
2 words. No jumpy. So this next scene is one of my favorites in the whole movie. This next shot, this oneer where we see the electric chair, is chef's kiss amazing to me. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love that they're playing No More Mr. Nice Guy, and we're seeing all of it in its glory, and we do a whole oneer for it. What do you guys think of this?
Love it. I love that song so much. I recently discovered that song.
Oh, really?
Within the past year. And I was like, it hit me in such a beautiful way that I was like, I think this is my favorite song. I just like added it to my playlist, just like totally random. But I love it. I don't even know what to say, but I was so happy to hear it play in this movie.
What do you think of the oneer, Derek?
It's good. It sets up, obviously what's about to transpire, and it's kind of like the catalyst to set him off on
the story,
the supernatural, aspect of his story. But dude, I can't wait till we get to the jail cell scene.
Oh yeah, we're about to get there.
I know.
And so I mean, I love that oneer so much. It's so cool. It shows the geography of all of it, because it's important, because we're going to need to know the geography of that area in the next sequence. So he subtly sets up the geography while showing us the chair and how intimidating and scary it is, playing No More Mr. Nice Guys, because we know what's going to happen. The movie's called Shocker, and we know he flows through electricity, so we're just ready for the ride. And everybody's seated, ready to watch the execution. And then we get Horace in his jail cell, Derek. And the guards say, his last request was for a TV. I guess he really likes his soaps. And they go to the cell with the priest, and he's like, got him hooked up to his fingers, electricity through the TV. He has like some kind of fucking evil voodoo shit, which was set up earlier in the movie by the Hanging Cats.
It was, yeah.
It was set up with the voodoo and black magic. So we know he has black magic. So he's doing black magic, and he's getting electrocuted. And he says they try to come in. I think it's cool that they try to come in, and he shocks the cell to keep him out. And then he says, give it to me. And these giant lips come out of the TV and say,
got it, baby.
And then
right?
Flies right into him.
What is that?
I laughed so hard. I was like, that is the most random thing I've ever seen. You know what would have been even better? Instead of having the jumper cables attached to his fingers, he should have attached them to his nipples.
What?
So it's like, he's praying to some kind of voodoo god or whatever. But on the audio commentary for this movie, it's just Wes by himself, and he's talking through the movie. And it gets to that scene, and he's like, I probably would do that different now. No. He's like, I mean, it's done how it is. It's cool. It's fine. He's like, but giant lips coming out of the TV saying, "You got it, baby." I don't know. That might have been a step too far.
Yes, it was.
I was like, no, Wes, it's not. It's perfect. It's because it fits right into the tone of this movie. Fits right into the tone of this movie.
There's a scene in I think it's Freddy's Dead, where he's about to like get burned up, and the dream demons come, and he's like trying to convince him. He's like, I want it all.
I want it all. Of course you do.
It kind of reminded me of that. Anyway,
yeah,
different movie.
I mean, Nightmare definitely took from this bit
For sure.
from here. But yeah, it's interesting. It's silly, but it's cool. It looks great when he's getting electrocuted. The priest comes in and knocks it all over. And then I love this next bit where they have to try to resuscitate him, and he bites old boy's lip.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
Looks fantastic, doesn't it?
It looks so good. It hurts to look at.
Yeah, and then he bites the other cop's fingers off and says one of my favorite lines, finger looking good. So they start kicking the shit out of him. The other cops come and take him, and he's they see if he's alive, and he's like, I'm all right. Let's get on with the killing. He's so fucking cool.
It's also kind of funny. The doctor, it was like, oh, I can't believe how like they treat him like an animal, like how inhumane they are, and then like he's himself, and it's just like, yeah, I can see why they would probably want to execute this crazy guy.
Yeah, he's a terrible, terrible, terrible human being.
Yeah, she shuts up real quick.
Yeah,
after he starts cussing.
Yeah, when they sit him
Jonathan
down,
has a line. He was like, "You're giving too much
that's a
credit
disservice
to
to animals." Yeah, disservice to animals. When he sits down, it's so great. His line. This is one of my favorite This is my favorite bit of performance from him in the electric chair. He gives a fantastic speech because it's just a page of dialogue that he has to say. I mean, first that joke with the priest is like, "Do you want me to pray with you, my son? I'm no son of yours. Go, you pederast. Go play with your choir boys, you pederast." And he starts laughing. And then he gives this awesome speech about how when Jonathan was a young boy, he was taking a knife to his mom, and she brought a gun into our happy home. And he's like, "You thought you were pretty cute, firing that big old gun at your daddy with murder in your eyes, blowing a hole in my fucking leg." So we find out that Horace Pinker is his birth father, and that the Parkers adopted him, and his dad is there, and he's like, "You shut the fuck up," and he's like trying to make him shut up because he doesn't want Jonathan to know this, and now Jonathan knows, and so he gives his whole little speech. What do you guys think of this speech here?
It's intense.
Yeah.
That's the only word I can think. Like I can't describe how he acts, this character. I haven't seen this guy in a lot of things. I've definitely seen him in a couple TV shows where he plays like X-Files. Yeah. Okay, Thank you. I couldn't remember what I've seen him in.
Yeah.
Also in Supernatural, I think I've seen him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I know there's maybe another thing, but he's usually not so scary.
Well, in the X-Files, he's a good guy. I mean, he's
yes.
He's one of the heroes. But yeah.
Yes.
What do you think of this performance, Derek?
It's like borderline, like real scary. Like for real. Like if I were on the set, I probably would have asked him if he needed to see a psychologist. Because he gives a great performance in this movie. I mean,
Yeah.
he is the shining, I don't know, shining light, but he really, every scene that he's in,
He steals. Yeah.
he steals every single one of them.
Yeah.
And if I had to give um, honest, I think that Peter, who's the main character,
Yeah, Jonathan.
isn't
Yeah,
the
Peter Berg.
isn't the
Yeah.
strongest actor, and so like every scene that these two are in together, it's just like bam, there's Horace, and he's just front and center, and he steals every single scene. But
Yeah.
it's a great speech, and there were little tidbits through this, like through some of like the news coverings where they alluded to that he was adopted, and
Yep. Yep.
he used to
And
be
that he was
abused
found
and stuff
badly
like that.
beaten at 7. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So like they laid the groundwork for this speech to occur and for that like kind of revelation to come through that he was his father. And so yeah, it was really good. I liked it.
Yeah, and then
I liked that. That was surprising to me too.
What, that he was the father?
Yeah, Jake kind of called it too, like right before it happened. He like kind of figured it out. But yeah, I thought that was a good shock.
Yeah, and then it explains their psychic connection. It's a
Yes.
familial psychic connection. And then we get the actual electrocution. And guys, this is great. He gets electrocuted. The lights go out, they come back on, and his whole top of his skull is fried. What do you think of that look?
Gross.
I think the look of Horace Pinker when he becomes the shocker Horace Pinker is excellent. I think it's a very iconic, great look. I love the orange jumpsuit with the stripe across it. I think is very eye-catching. I just think he looks awesome. So he gets electrocuted. The doctor comes over to check on him, and she gets electrocuted. And all the lights go crazy again. When they come back on, Pinker's gone, and the doctor's yelling for help. And we have this real tense scene where they're walking around, and they find the husk of Horace Pinker fall over dead. And
it was behind the door.
Yeah, behind the door. And then he melts into nothingness. And Don says, that electric chair kicks ass.
Yeah.
When he catches fire, it's a really great effect. Because it's like a dummy of him, and he catches fire and then melts into nothingness. So what are you thinking at this point, Lydia? Since you've never seen this, what are you thinking at this point?
Well, okay, so at this point, I'm like, I don't know about the dad, like the not Horace, obviously.
Yeah.
You know,
stepdad.
I'm just like, his character is so strange to me that I don't know. I'm not sure if it's the actor or if it's the way he's written, but at this point I'm like, okay, because he's like a police officer, he's breaking all these rules, he's saying weird things, like the electric chair kicks ass. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
It did. It did catch the dude on fire and burn him up.
They go in and search for him, and he's gone. You're like, where is he? And then you find out he's just standing behind the door, like nobody checked behind the door. How? And he was dead behind the door. Like, what kind of choices were made here? And after
that was just
it's like the first part of this movie sets a tone, and then this part of the movie like sets a completely different tone for me.
Yeah.
Even though you have like the metal playing at the beginning, and then you have a metal kind of setting up this scene, it's like it just pushes you right over the edge of, like,
it goes to the metal. Goes to 11.
Yes.
Yeah, love it.
Yes.
So
I want to add one thing to what you said.
Yeah.
So I do like the line. The line is pretty funny. But I would have to say that his dad is probably in the scenes that he's in, probably the weakest actor of the the main trio. And I think that kind of takes away from some of the scenes that he's in. Maybe it's the way he delivers the lines.
Well, he delivers them, I think, deliberately kind of emotionless and angry. I think that's kind of where his character's mental state is at this point, just emotionless and angry.
Yeah.
And we get more emotion towards the end. There's a bit towards the end that I really like with him.
Yeah.
But so
I definitely know who my actonization is going to be.
yeah. I think we all are in agreement with this. But so Lydia, did you see the body swap happening? Did you see that coming?
I was like, that has to be what happens. Like yeah, like I think that was my idea that that's what would happen. Because he just like burned up and melted, like his body's gone. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
so who's he gonna be in?
And then when he's the doctor, it's a great little scene when she does a great job, a little performance to be Pinker.
Yeah,
And
she does. That's really cool what they do.
She's doing like her little tongue thing and stuff, and then she's like,
yeah,
says get a little road ahead, and then fucking breaks his neck completely around.
yeah, and her eyes look messed up.
Yeah, so it causes a big crash, an explosion, and Jonathan, there's the Jaws shot in this scene where Jonathan's, when the explosion happens, we do the push and pull out of him, the Jaws shot of him at the prison. Wonderful, great work, Wes. And he's like, that wasn't Pinker, that he's still alive. I feel that he's still alive. That wasn't him. I felt nothing when that body was there. That he's not there. And they're like, something's going on here. And of course, Don's thinking he's crazy, which at this point, why would you? Because he's been right about everything else. Just listen to the boy.
That's what I'm talking about. He never listens and contradicts himself and like all this stuff. Like, he's such a weird character.
So then we basically get like some we find out that the one cop survived. Pastore. Find out Pastore has survived, and he's being wheeled away to the hospital. And we get another dream sequence. And I love this dream sequence. So he wakes up, he sees something, hears something in the other room, in the shower, walks into it, pulls back the shower, and Alice is standing there with a jungle behind her. And she looks amazing. I love her design when she's undead. I think it looks awesome. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Is she undead
I
or
liked
dead?
this part.
Ghost.
She's a ghost, but
She's
bloody,
a dead ghost.
her bloody version in his dream is so cool.
I liked this design and this scene better than I liked any of the other scenes with her as a ghost, pretty much.
Yeah,
like this was my favorite of seeing her.
Yeah, she looks really cool because she's still covered in blood and stuff. And I love the way how the blood is patterned on her, and the way they lit her. She looks really cool and scary. And she gives him the necklace, and he's freaking out, of course, as she's walking to him. And they fall back, and he falls into the bed, which turns into water. And then he wakes up, and the necklace is in bed with him. And so he's like, what the fuck is going on with my life? So then he starts moving.
I actually have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
You ever slept in a waterbed?
Yes.
Yes.
Those things are terrible.
Not the best.
No, I always roll off to the side because it like bubbles because it's water. So you like roll off to the edge, and then you're like stuck in the little like crevice.
Yeah, I feel like I did that too. I feel like that was my experience too. And like my cousin had one. She's like my sister, so I was always at her house. and it was like heated.
Mhm.
Like, and I didn't realize that it was heated, but I was always like, why is this bed so hot? Like, why is this water so hot all the time? I thought it was just like her blankets. And then she was like, oh no, it's heated. And I was like, I cannot sleep on this bed like this.
My
I was
parents had
horrified
one.
that it was a heated bed.
Yeah.
My parents had one, and they are awful. Yeah, what a terrible like idea.
Well, you would think that it would be a good idea until you sleep on one and you're
No.
like, what? Why would you do this?
Yeah, it's terrible. Every move you make, the whole bed weighs.
Yeah.
You're just
It was
like,
great for slumber parties when you're a little girl.
yeah,
though.
having fun. Yeah, but
No, I was always also afraid that I was gonna like put a hole in this damn thing. So every time I'd like crawl onto it, I'd be like creeping onto it, or I'd
like
roll
a
off
cat.
and
Like, I
yeah.
really don't want this thing to pop. That
And if
would be
it's not
bad.
heated, then you like wake up and you're like cold because the water's cold. It's a mess.
Scream Bloody Movies disapproves of waterbeds. Now let me tell you about today's sponsor, waterbeds.
Could you imagine if waterbeds just came back?
No, that's
No.
the one trend I don't think
What-
will come back.
I would
That's
not
one
buy
that's left
one.
in the past. It's the one that's left in the past.
You know, I was thinking of a design that would
Yeah.
make sense, and I think I got one, but
We'll save that
another
for
day.
Inventor Podcast.
yeah.
Shark Tank.
Shark Tank. Yeah. So
Derek invented a mattress,
so it's a waterbed basically, but it's slightly different.
but it's not heated.
So he starts moving. Jonathan's like, my girlfriend died in this house, and now she's fucking haunting me here. So I think I'm out. So we see him taping up boxes and what have you. And he gets a knock on the door, and it's Pastore. And he's like, Jonathan, I was sent by your father, Lieutenant Parker, to come and get you. And he's like, this seems kind of weird. It's Pastore. And then he gets a call from his dad that says, hey, the officer Pastore has escaped. Have you seen him or heard anything about it? So he knows, and he looks out the thing. He looks out the peephole. He's got his back to it. He says, Pastore? And he turns around, and his face is all like cut up and shit. And he tries to blow a hole through the peephole. So Jonathan ducks, and then there's this chase scene where he's just shooting at him and limping because Pinker has a limp, so everybody he gets into has the limp. And so he's shooting at him, and finally his like body's starting to break down because he's been in it too long and he's used up all of its essence. And he, pretends that he's like come back. So he goes over to him. He pulls out a gun from his after he shoots him in the arm, by the way. He pulls out a gun from his ankle and starts shooting at him again. And this Jonathan runs away, and this jogger happens to be running by. So Pinker shoots him in the back so he can steal his life essence. And then he ends up taking over a little girl who Jonathan stumbles upon. And this part is hilarious when he's the little girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
She does.
She's so funny in it when she says, come on, you fucker, move.
Yes.
Then
I
when
loved that.
After she tries to run him over with the big, what is that? A fucking bulldozer? Tries to run him over with the bulldozer. He picks her up and she goes,
You'll never know that, you son of a bitch.
The mom comes and attacks him, and
Yes.
he
Like
tries
one
to get
does.
as one would, and then he tries to get Pinker out with a necklace, and she kicks him in the balls. The mom attacks him, drops it on him, and then Pinker just appears out of the mom or out of the daughter, jumps into the mom, then jumps into this big construction worker who throws the necklace into the river and Jonathan escapes. What do you guys think of this whole sequence?
Oh my gosh.
It's great.
So
It's perfect.
it's got to be a mental thing, the limp. Otherwise, it shouldn't manifest itself if you go into a healthy body. That's the first thing I thought of, but either way, it doesn't matter.
So
it's a good cue to let you know who's who.
That's why it's there. That's why it's there, so that way you know who Pinker is. I love this sequence. I think it's a blast.
Oh yeah, I think it's a blast too. That little girl is hilarious. Her name's Lindsay Parker.
Yeah,
that's her real name.
Yeah, she's
not the character name. It's just a little girl. But dude, he must have jumped into like Hercules. The way that guy chucks that pickaxe.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a big guy. He's a big guy.
He is, but there's no way you could chuck that like halfway across the lake. Or pond.
Literally threw it so far. Like that guy's an Olympian if he can throw it that far.
Yeah, I love. There's a couple of really funny lines in here that I like. First of all, I like the effect of him coming out of the daughter. It's a cool little effect, and how he has that like kind of translucent glow around him because he's still like just pure energy. And then the sparks fly when he switches to her. And I like when he's like, "What do you think of this body, Jumbo?" And he gets kicked in the face. But yeah, stellar sequence is so fun. Pastor, I love the way that he says Pastori too. Pastori every time. Stop, Pastori. So the next
they do say that name a lot.
Yeah, Pastori. That's his name. Pastori.
Yeah, they really they make sure you know who that
is. You know who he is. So this next sequence, Jonathan tells this coach and Pac-Man and Rhino what's going on. He's like, I know it sounds crazy, but this is what's going on. And they've seen all the other shit that has already occurred. So they're like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
What do we need to do?
Yep. And I love how they're immediately like on his side and ready to do whatever they can to help him. Because they know this guy's been through it all. Lost his girlfriend, his family. He's just, So they're like, yeah, we got you. The coach is like, let's go break his neck. We can't do that. And Jonathan explains the rules very well here, too. Where we find out that Pinker's draining them and he jumps bodies when they die. And and if you hurt the body, you hurt the person that's body it is. So you can't go around breaking necks to try to get Pinker because you're just going to kill the person. But there's one thing that can get him out, which is that necklace. So they come up with a plan. He's like, I kind of know where it is. I need you to get my scuba, my scuba gear. Coach, I can't go back to that place. Which, granted, he's almost been murdered. His girlfriend died there, and then she's haunted him there. So they split up. Pac-Man goes with the coach, and Rhino and Jonathan are waiting by the river. We find out that Pinker was listening in. He was underneath the bleachers, so he's listening in. So he goes to Jonathan's. Jonathan and Pac-Man have a really cool, or Jonathan and Rhino have a really good scene here, I feel like. What do you think of this bit where basically they have like a heart-to-heart kind of?
Mm-hmm.
Is this when they go to the lake?
Yes, when they're at the lake waiting. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that whole scene.
Yeah, that's it's nice. When he tells him, basically tells him, I can't lose another person I love, Rhino. Because they get into like an altercation and he's like, I'm not going anywhere without you. And he's like, I need you. I can't risk hurting, something happening to you.
Yes, and that's the emotion I was looking for the entire movie. This is where it's like, okay, finally, he gets it. Like, he's saying something that makes sense. That, like, that's how I would feel in that situation. Like, everyone close to me is dying. you know, you're trying to distance yourself from the people you love, but you need help. So he's just
At
like,
the same
you know,
time,
he's just
yeah.
refusing, you know. It's
Well, yeah.
I like that he finally just says it all out loud.
And so this next bit, he goes to the house, and Coach is all like covered in blood and has a knife in his hand and
Standing in the shower like a creeper.
standing in the shower. Yeah. And we find out that he's clearly taken over by Pinker. And Pinker says, you know, go ahead.
I wouldn't say clear. I mean, he obviously was to the point where he probably killed the other guy. Maybe the other guy killed him, but he's the only one who really fights back.
Oh, he's 100%
mentally.
the only one that fights back. But he's when he finds him, he's clearly taken over by Pinker. And
Yeah.
And we find out that
I agree. Because the message in blood on the mirror, like he comes into the bathroom and you see the message first, and that kind of made it confusing of, was it the coach that wrote that in blood, and why did he write it in blood?
What was the message? I forget.
It was something about like you have to stop him or something.
Yeah, I think he did, because he had cut his hand already. That's why he's covered in blood, I think. So
Yeah.
he might have wrote it as he's trying to fight back, but he just doesn't. He can't do it yet until once Jonathan. We find out the Pac-Man's dead, and then Jonathan tells him, "You got to fight back on this guy," and he says, "You know, I can eat this guy's willpower for breakfast," and then Alice comes in and says, "You've got to fight him." And he ends up stabbing himself to kill himself so he doesn't hurt Jonathan and force Pinker out of his body. So he sacrifices himself. And Pinker, of course, jumps out of the body and tries to go for Jonathan after he knocks him over because he gets shocked by him. And she steps in the way and uses like her power of good to like push him back. And he's like all fucked up. So he's running out of juice. So he uses his fingers to stick into the electrical sockets and juice him up. And there's a bit where he's saying, I think I can. And gets sucked into the electricity right as Dawn comes in. What do you guys think of this sequence?
First of all, I thought it was weird that his fingers stretched into socket things. That
I love it.
I was like, that's
it's so
gross and
odd
weird.
looking. I love it because it always freaked me out as a kid because it would just go. Yeah.
The second thing though is I don't like the timing of when the girlfriend comes back out. What did you say her name was? Like
Alice.
Allison or something?
Alice.
Yeah, Alice. I don't like the timing of her coming out right when she does. I think it's fine that she like comes out, but it's just the timing felt wrong to me. Like, what do you guys think?
I don't have a problem with it. I think it's fine. I think she could have maybe came in a little earlier or a little later, but I don't think it really is that big of an issue. Because I feel like if she came out a little later, it might have stepped on the emotion of her trying to help the coach fight back. But yeah, it's fine. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's fine. And her power of her light is, fine. It's also not the best. We get the point.
It literally, no, I don't like the light thing. I don't like the light thing.
Care Bear stare.
She's like, she literally is like, go back to hell where you came from, and then like her light comes out of her chest and grabs him and like sets him gently in the other room.
Well, so it doesn't set him gently.
Like,
he
what?
gets pushed out into the other room and falls to the ground. But
okay, that's not hell,
really,
though.
It's really the there's a fun little bit of backstory to the special effects in this movie, which is Wes Craven contracted this special effects artist to do all of these big shots and everything, and they shot the whole movie for the special effects. And the dude like went insane and didn't turn in any reels of the special effects. And
Oh,
so they had to, with weeks before the premiere, scrounge together the effects that we have in the movie.
okay.
Yeah. So it
That
probably
makes-
was
that makes
meant to
perfect
look
sense.
different. That was probably meant to
Yep.
look different originally. But when you're up against the gun, you're like, well, this still gets the point across, right? This is what it does.
Right.
The power
I
propels
gotcha.
him backwards. Wes Craven tells that story on that commentary. I urge everybody to get the Shout Factory Blu-ray of this and listen to the audio commentary. It's fascinating and funny.
That's the version that I got. I'll have to
Mhm.
see if I can watch the commentary.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So Don comes in and tries to turn on the lamp and gets shocked. And
What's
he
after
becomes
he has a like he sits down and he has a real conversation.
yeah,
as
they have
Don.
like a heart-to-heart. They have a heart-to-heart conversation.
Yeah.
What do you think of their conversation actually? This is one
I
of
mean,
the
it was-
best bits, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty heartfelt conversation up until the point where he had the police come in and arrest his son.
Mhm.
Um,
For these
But,
murders that he clearly didn't commit, but
yeah, yeah,
so then he
Yeah,
shocks
then he
him.
gets
He
shocked.
gets shocked and becomes pinker. And I love when he's like, he goes with me, and the look he gives when they go outside and he's putting him in the car is
yeah.
so great.
That's the
That
acting this
smile?
guy did all movie.
Yeah, that smile is awesome.
Yeah, it's very devious.
Yeah. And so he's going to take Jonathan and just execute him is what he's going to do.
Mhm.
But Rhino shows up because Rhino didn't listen because it's his best friend. And he ends up, fighting with the police to allow Jonathan to escape.
Well, he busts the window open and pulls him
out.
of the
Yeah.
window, and then he
And then,
just tackles
Yeah. Yep.
his dad's.
Yeah.
He tackles his dad's.
He pulls out a gun and
Anyway, I think it's funny.
yeah. What do you guys think of this chase sequence here? I love it with the that cool 80s metal playing under it, and there's like this chase scene with this little action beat. What do you guys think?
Oh, I agree. There's a part where he like tries to run him down with his car as the metal's playing in the background, and he jumps up and grabs onto like
grabbing the
pin.
ladder. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure in the cut you can see that it's clearly a stunt
It's
guy.
clearly a stuntman. Yeah, 100% a stuntman. But
Yeah.
it's practical. It's real stunt work.
Oh
So-
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it didn't take away from the shot whatsoever. It was a really fun shot, but it's a good chase scene.
Is there a train in the background, Lydia?
Yes, there is. I think it's done.
Yeah.
I was just waiting.
What do you think of this chase scene?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's so weird to me that like the dad just like suddenly turns and is like, yeah, arrest him. This is the proof we need that it was definitely him. Which I was like thinking the whole time, I was like, he's the main suspect. He's the main suspect. But the whole time he's just like not. And now there's like dead bodies everywhere.
And I guess
And
that's
I'm
why he's like,
yes.
it has to be him, I
Arrest
guess.
him.
Yeah, there's dead
Yeah.
bodies everywhere. It has to be him.
Yes, and it's like the first time that it like makes sense for him to like do that, but and then you're like, no,
Yeah, don't do it.
don't. You were with him the whole time. Like what? So, like now that he knows something supernatural and weird is going on, he's like, yeah, arrest him, and then
Yeah,
he gets possessed.
Yeah, and then his possession, the chase scene is fun. It's great. I
Yeah,
think.
it is. I love the look too.
Yeah,
I
the
love
look is
the
so
smile.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so creepy.
And then they So they end up on top of this satellite, essentially satellite dish, and Pinker's trying to kill him, and Don ends up falling off the thing, and he's hanging on, and he's like, "Oh, my heart!" Starts pretending like he's having a heart, starts to have a heart attack. Falls down. Pinker escapes out of the body via the
satellite
energy. Gets beamed out. And he's like, "I'm going worldwide." And there's that cool shot of it going when he gets shot out. And so Jonathan pulls Don up and he says, "Don, you don't have a weak heart." And he says, "I know that. And you know that. But Pinker didn't know that." So he faked a heart attack, pretended like he had a bad heart to get Pinker out of his body so he didn't hurt his son, which is pretty cool. It's a great little bit.
Yeah,
this part confused me. I rewound it to listen to it again because it didn't make any sense. I guess I didn't pick up on the fact that they were trying to dupe him into thinking that he had a bad heart. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it
was like a random plan that worked.
Yeah, it's a plan that worked. Yeah. So he's like, "Don, you don't have a bad heart. I know that. You know that. But Pinker didn't know that." And so then so now Pinker's in the radio waves, and there's been reports of seeing him on different channels. And when John Tesh, by the way, is the news report, and he's giving his news report, and Pinker shows up, is hilarious. So we get this scene where he talks to her. He's like, he needs help from her to find the necklace. And he talks to Alice, and basically they sleep together. And she's like, "I'll always be with you." He gets the necklace. So then he calls the reporter to come over because he's like, "I'm going to bring you Horace Pinker," essentially. He's coming. What do you guys think of the whole bit with her and him, their scene?
Just after she scares the crap out of him in the lake, right?
Again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so strange. I don't know if I understand what his deal is with that, with the girlfriend being dead. Like, he's scared of her.
Yeah, I think until this bit.
He's so scared
until
of her.
This bit. Yeah. Until after when he talks to her, then they like end up kissing and stuff. Then I think after that he's not scared of her anymore. It's because I would imagine it would be terrifying to see your just murdered girlfriend multiple times.
Well, and she has to convince him to go back and finish this because he's ready to.
He'll stay with her.
Stay there.
Yeah.
I gotta bring something up, and this might be too much to bring up, but when she dies, and it's like her funeral scene, he like kisses her on the mouth in her casket.
That's called necrophilia.
Is super weird to me. I didn't want to take it. I don't want to take it there.
I'm sure people do it. I'm sure people do that.
Do that.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know. There's something weird about that to me that I would I don't think I would ever be able to do that. Like, that would be the last memory of that you have of kissing that person. And I don't, it's like, I feel like that's also why he was so freaked out.
Yeah. But it's the last time you're going to see that person too. So it's the last time you can. I remember, I'm not kissing people in the mouth, but I kissed my mom on the forehead before.
Right. And I think that's more of an acceptable situation than like kissing your girlfriend.
I guess it depends.
Lips.
Depends. Plus, she wasn't really dead in real life. So, I would say, yeah, I think I should kiss her in the mouth.
Yeah, because she wasn't actually dead. That makes sense. But I just there's something about just like cold lips that weirds me out.
So Jonathan develops a plan here where he realizes that he can get Pinker into the room, use the necklace to defeat him, and he's going to cut off all of the power. So Pinker is stuck there. So he has Rhino and company waiting at the power station to do this. So he calls the reporter, and Pinker ends up appearing, and this reporter is like a fucking idiot. Let's talk about this reporter. It's the same dickhead that said the stuff about his parents, right? The same guy?
Probably.
Yeah.
He
Probably.
seemed like a douchebag.
Yeah, he is a douchebag. So we get into the final sequence, and we start the final fight. So what do you guys think of this final sequence? What do you think of the channel surfing bit?
You know
It's
what
awesome.
it reminded me of? Yeah, it is awesome. You know what it reminded me? What's the movie that comes to mind whenever you watch this?
This movie?
Timmy
You guys have-
Turner.
Oh, no, there's
do
a
you know what I'm
movie
talking
with
about?
with John Ritter called Stay Tuned.
Yeah. It came out
Oh.
after this movie.
Oh yeah, way after this movie.
Yeah.
No, it definitely did.
Yeah.
But that's what it reminded me
It
of
ma-
was
It
Stay
makes me
Tuned.
think of Fairly Odd Parents. I think it's called I can't remember off the top of my head. Do you guys know what I'm talking about at all?
Yeah, I remember Fairly Odd Parents.
But
Nope.
there's like a movie. There's like a series, like a mini series or a movie that's
Don't know
him
that.
with a magic remote flipping
Don't
through
know that, but
TV
but,
channels and the internet and stuff like that. I don't know.
That's
Never mind.
but
funny.
this
You had to
this
be there.
channel surfing bit is great, right?
Yeah,
It's
it is.
awesome.
I've got a question. So the scene where they're fighting in these people's living room, and and I referenced this because it felt more like two professional wrestlers going at it. It was a really good fight scene. I liked it a lot. Was that in the TV world or the real world?
So they came out of the TV, I think. So
And the reason why I say that is because she's like, oh, I know that, I've heard of audience participation, but this is crazy. And the dad's like, just kind of ignoring them, and the kids are kind of ignoring them, but they're like,
yeah, I
crashing
think
all
they
over
come
the
out of the
place.
TV. They fight out of the TV there. They come out of the TV, then they go back into the TV, and then the channels are being switched. So they're just going. They end up in the fucking war movie. So there's explosions
Yeah.
going off. They end up free falling. It's just all absolute silliness.
Well, and I had referenced Stay Tuned, but Stay Tuned definitely came out way after this, probably mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay, so the thing that I was talking about is called Channel Chasers. Fairly
Channel
Odd Parents
Chasers.
Channel Chasers, and it's looks like a movie where Timmy Turner has a magic remote and he gets into different TV shows like this.
What year did it come out? Does it
Except he
tell you
takes
that?
on
Oh, the 2000s.
2004.
I'm trying to see if this movie influenced some of those other movies, or where did they get the inspiration for this? Because it's actually quite genius.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
mean,
a
I think
very
it's just
fun
Wes
concept.
Craven coming up with a fun idea. Wouldn't it be cool if we just fought through all these channels?
Oh, 'cause, I
And-
Yeah,
remember
do you
as a
think he was the
kid-
first?
I think as far as switching the channels, probably. Because it's a really fun bit. It's a really fun fight, and we end up back at Jonathan's place.
Yeah,
And
his house he grew up in.
Yeah, well, before that, I love the bit where we have to talk about the massage chair coming to life, guys.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I love this scene so much. So he thinks, it's over. He goes to sit down in the massage chair, and it fucking comes to life and grabs a hold of him. eyes appear on the
Dude.
top of it. I remember that as a kid. That's one of those images that's like ingrained into my brain.
Yes, I can imagine. That was
being a
really
kid.
freaky.
Just being like, oh my God, that'd be terrifying.
The eyes, the arms.
Yeah,
Ugh.
the eyes and the arms, they grab him, then he turns into him.
The one thing that creeped me out, I mean, not creeped me out, but the one thing that like made me like cringe a little bit was like seeing his legs. You know, like it's the recliner is out, like the leg part, and his legs can't touch the floor when he's being like strangled by this thing. And that just like, I don't know if there's like some weird fear that I have of getting my legs caught in a recliner. But like, I just was like, oh, his legs in that, like in between the bars, like he was just like reaching for the floor, and that just freaked me out. I like that little
Yeah, it's cool. So yeah, you alluded they go back to his childhood home, Derek. And because that's where the he puts the necklace onto the camera to jump through.
Yeah. After he uses the remote to freeze frame. I thought that was hilarious.
Horace, yeah. So basically, he's waiting for the time to, go down, and he uses the remote. He realizes that Horace is being controlled by the TV, like he's playing by TV rules. So he starts using the remote to like forward and backwards, slam him around and twist him all up, freeze frame him, and what have you.
Not sure if some of those rules make any sense at all, but
it doesn't matter. It's cool. So he ends up so basically they have to cut the power, and Horace is going to be stuck there because that's he's bound by the rules of energy. When there's nowhere else for him to jump, he's done. So Jonathan hangs the necklace over the camera, jumps through it. It allows him to get out and back home, and then shuts off. The power shuts off, and it blows up Horace Pinker inside the TV, essentially. And he's done. So then Jonathan walks out onto the road, out to the street, and sees everybody else coming out because the power's all off, and he's walking away, defeated Horace Pinker, and we get the cool end song. What do you guys think of this whole ending?
I got
the whole fight into it, all of it.
Before we get into that, there's a funny like when he comes out of the house and all the kids go, "Did I just see you on TV?"
Yeah.
yes.
And then he talks to Allison.
Mm-hmm.
He says, he says something to her, and then she responds with him. So now, like, that he's never going to be able to. Yeah, he's never going to be able to have another girlfriend for the rest of his life.
Right, that's what I thought too. And he seems okay with it. So
yeah, he's cool. He's cool. Get a fleshlight, have her talk to him. Oh, good.
It's true. I would definitely try to convince her.
What do you guys think of the ending?
It's pretty good. I really like the channel flipping. The only problem I have with it is that I don't know how you come up with a plan like that.
Because it's movie logic. Movie
logic.
Yep.
It's pretty awesome. I do like it. I was actually on the edge of my seat at the end. I was like, oh my gosh, is he gonna be stuck in this like room? Like forever? Like when the power goes out? I was like, is that what's gonna happen? I was like really scared. I was like I was on the edge of my seat, like, get out. I was like, he jumped through the camera. It's like, that makes no sense to me, but okay, that worked.
Yep. And that's what he says it when he hangs it up there. He says, Alice, I know you're gonna have to help me with this. I'm just basically going on a wing and a prayer, and he jumps and he's able to go through it.
It'd have been funny if he had just like.
Yeah, that would have been a more of a downer, but pretty funny. What do you think of the ending, Derek?
I feel like they might have left the window open for a sequel because he says
they
something
100%
as
did.
like,
Yeah,
as the TV's on fire, you better never turn the TV on again or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they totally did. They wanted this to be a franchise.
Yeah. So, question: how did this movie do?
Not great, and that's why we didn't get it. That's why we didn't get a sequel. It didn't do great. It underperformed.
I have a theory about this.
I mean, it made $16.6 million at the box office, so not terrible at the time, but it opened second in its opening weekend. So it did okay, but it didn't do like Nightmare numbers, which I think is what they were banking on. Oh, I mean, the first night, the Nightmare movies were making $20-30 million. So it made about half of that, probably. Maybe.
So here's the thing that I think the last bit of this movie is a lot of fun. Like when they're surfing through the channels, it's such a unique, especially for the time. Because I checked it, and Stay Tuned came out like 1992. That's such a unique idea, and I remember as a kid like sitting and watching the TV and like imagining that people came out of the TV, or I could go into the TV and like be in the world that is like being portrayed on the television. But he kind of brought that to life in a way. So it's really unique, and it was a lot of fun, and it was very fast paced. I think he did a good job.
So, guys, that's Wes Craven's Shocker. What are your guys' thoughts? Lydia, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on Wes Craven's Shocker?
I thought, as a first-time viewer, I thought it was very entertaining. The parts of it were confusing to me. But it was like a roller coaster, so it's like it pretty much all caught up with itself, and that's good. And it might have just been because this was, before I was born. So it just has a totally different tone, like with the metal music and like the weird like lips coming out of the TV. Like nobody would clear that today. Like that choice is not.
It's Wes Craven having Final Cut, baby.
Yeah. So, and the story is so interesting. I just don't like the dad character. He's like the biggest problem for me. So I'm gonna give this movie 6.5.
Rough. All right, Derek, what do you think?
So I have a theory as to why I think this movie didn't get a sequel. And I think that it was kind of ahead of its time, especially the back half of this movie. It was really entertaining, and I think the concept is really great. And that's just my own thought as to why it might not have gotten one, or why maybe it didn't do as great as it did. But I found it to be quite entertaining. There were really only two things that critiques I would make, and one of them leads into our accanization. Wasn't too sold on the actor who portrayed the dad. I thought he did an okay job. I feel like you put a different actor in there who maybe showed a little bit more of emotion or appropriate emotion, then like you take it up a little bit of a notch. Actually, I don't think that the main actor did the best job that he could have. I can't put my finger on it. Maybe it's the way he delivered some of his lines, but
he has strange lines.
I think he did. Yeah, I think he did. A little bit above like average, but then you get to Horace, who like can hit home run after home run with his performance. This is easily one of my favorite characters in a horror movie.
Mhm.
Just the way he delivered almost every single line with the emotion. It was really great to rediscover that because I hadn't seen this movie in a long time. So yeah, he did fantastic. I love that, his portrayal of this character. So I'm gonna give this movie a 7.5. I found it really entertaining. I will watch this movie probably every year now, kind of rediscovering it. And I have a copy. I went ahead and bought a copy of it. So it was a great movie. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I really like this one. It's cheesy when it needs to be, but it's fun. It's a roller coaster. It's never boring. It has great performances. A great performance from Mitch Pileggi as Horace Pinker, and I think it's a travesty that we never got more Horace Pinker movies. At least one or
Agreed.
two more. I think there should have been a franchise. Wes Craven wrote this movie in response to not getting paid for Nightmare on Elm Street. He wasn't getting the royalties for Nightmare on Elm Street, so he decided to try to create his own another Elm Street, another horror franchise that he would own all of the rights to and would get all of the royalties for. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out box office wise. But yeah, I watch this movie all the time. I'm going to continue to watch this movie all the time. I'm giving it an 8. It's an 8.
Derek, what did you give it?
I gave it a 7.5. What'd you give it?
I gave it a 6.5.
Oh, I thought you said 6. So I'll change that. Jamie, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I gave my 2 cents for what it's worth as to why it didn't perform not as well as it could have. You've watched this movie several times.
Well, I think
what's your theory on it?
I think it's what you said. I mean, there's a lot of it. It's niche in a way. Like it's a slasher movie. The first half, the first half may be more is scarier than the second half, but the second half is way more fun than the first half. So it's a bit uneven, but I don't think that's the reason it failed. I think it's because there wasn't brand recognition to it. It came out the same week, the second weekend of Look Who's Talking, which was a huge hit when it came out. So I think that was a big part of it, and it just was one of those that it played to a certain audience and not a general audience, I suppose. It didn't have the brand recognition of Nightmare on Elm Street. You got to remember, Nightmare came out and was just this really innovative, crazy movie that caught on, and then the sequels, though much lesser usually, for the most part, save for parts 3 and 7, they were still making money because people recognize the name of Freddy Krueger. And in those days, unless you were a horror movie fan, you didn't really know. It's not like it is today where you would go see a movie because Peter Jackson's directing it, right? You went and saw a movie that you recognized. So people weren't necessarily thinking, oh, this is a Wes Craven movie. You know, this is the trailers would say from the creator of Nightmare on Elm Street, but it's not like it is now where, you know, you go to see a movie because a certain filmmaker is putting that out. It had no discernible stars in it. And it's a wild concept. It's a guy that kills people through electricity. I mean, he jumps from body to body and turns into an electrical killer. So it's not like an easy sell. But, you know, if you know, you know. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
I wonder how this movie would have played if they could have, like, I think the title is very appropriate and fine.
Yeah, the title's great. Yeah.
But like A Nightmare on Elm Street, it's very catchy. Freddy Krueger is very distinct. What's this guy's name? Horace Pinker?
Horace Pinker. Yeah.
I wonder
No,
if
I
they
don't
would have
think
played with some of those aspects, if that would have had any.
maybe. I don't know. I don't think the title really, because the title was perfect, not only because of the subject matter, but it kind of sounds like a schlocky 50s title. Shocker. You know, if they would have put like an exclamation point, shocker. And so I don't think I just think it was bad timing and people didn't know what to make of it when it came out. Plus, you also have to remember, this is also very important. In 1989 was basically the death nail of horror at that time, going into the 90s. I mean, in that year, you had Halloween 5, which was terrible. You had Nightmare 5, pretty bad. You had Jason Takes Manhattan, really bad. And then you had this. So the horror output wasn't necessarily top tier. So people weren't flocking to see. I mean, it was the slasher cycle had kind of started to wear thin at that time. So it was kind of close to the death nail of horror. I mean, slashers didn't come back until
96?
1995, Scream.
Yeah.
Because even, New Nightmare didn't do well commercially, not as well as it could have. Because it's like,
Scary.
it's kind of all ran its course. And it took something that was mind-blowingly different, like Scream, to shoot the slashers back up. So yeah, that's why I think it didn't do as well. That and people are stupid because it's excellent. We should have had 14. We should have been talking about next week. We're doing Shocker 5, The Revenge of Horace Pinker. I would have been all about it. More
We're
Shocker.
ready to agonize this?
Thrill me.
Yeah, sure are. We already know who it is. It's the dad.
100%.
Yeah, it'd be Tom Atkins would play the dad, and he'd be great. It'd be a good movie.
Agreed.
I think this movie would be prime for a reboot, a remake.
No, I think this would be a good remake, and I've always said that. Because it's a movie that with today's technology, you can make the special effects better. And you could do way more stuff with. As long as you the other part is it's how you're going to recast Horace Pinker. Like that's a tour de force performance. So it would live and die on that. It would live and die in the casting of Pinker. And I always said I would like to take a shot at a Shocker remake. I'd like to take a shot at one.
Who would you cast with today's?
Ooh, now as Horace Pinker, I have no idea. It would probably have to be some unknown character actor that just knocks it out of the park. Because I can't think of anybody that would have the right amount of intimidation and humor and scariness all combined.
I got one for you.
Who's that?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, I don't think Leo would star in my Shocker remake, but if he wanted to, I'd give him a shot at it.
Just picture it, though. Just picture it.
Leonardo DiCaprio as Horace Pinker.
I can see the memes already.
Yeah, I'd have to be like, hey, you got to shave your head, Leo.
Yeah.
I'm just staying true to the source material.
It's amazing when you get a character right as far as the casting goes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it can make or break a movie. Like it's so crazy. And some of these guys, the characters they play become so iconic. It's like with Horace, you would be very hard pressed to find another actor who does the job that he does. Like it'd be really hard to fill that slot. Whereas, someone like his dad, it would be really easy to I think to fill that slot. So I always found that to be really fascinating. That
Yeah, I did too. And
nail it.
also like you know, like if you could get a character like there's certain characters that you can recast, like Jason. You can, as long as you get somebody that's big and knows can
Mhm.
do the movements, you can get Jason pretty right most of the time, as long as you
Yeah.
write him correctly. But you know, like Freddy, you just can't do it,
Yeah, they
man.
tried that and they crashed and
Yeah,
burned.
just can't do it. You just can't do it. You know, Robert is Freddy. Freddy is Robert. They're intertwined. The same with this. I don't know how you would. I'd do my damnedest. Do my damnedest to figure it out, but
What about Jonathan's character?
Jonathan, Peter Berg is fine. He's weird in this movie. It's some of his acting choices. He's a much
I
better
agree.
director than he was an actor. But you know, I like Jonathan as a character. I like that our main character is a college aged adult essentially. I think that's cool. It's not the normal, you know, slasher heroine. It's a college age man that is trying to, you know, figure stuff out. I think that's a cool little nugget and little twist. You know, I think you could cast that with like a million other actors. Imagine it with like I don't know, who
Channing
was
Tatum.
yeah, who was like that age in 1989. I mean, you know, Kiefer Sutherland, because I mean he's you know, in Lost Boys at that time. Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen,
Estevez?
not Joe Estevez, Charlie Sheen. You know, who knows?
What about today?
Today, Tom Holland.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Tom Holland and Leonardo DiCaprio starring in my version of Shocker.
Would it
with
be
Tom Atkins as the dad still?
Yes, yes. Would it be a Shocker remake or sequel?
A requel. It could. You know what? I could do a requel and have Horace, you know, bring back Mitch Pileggi as Horace Pinker. Could do a requel. Yeah. You know, it takes place 30 years later. Jonathan is an adult and he starts to, you know, his son. He has a son who starts having the dreams.
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke would have been good, yeah.
They almost look a little similar, I think. So
they do.
And
Yeah.
I love him in horror movies nowadays.
Since Peter Berg isn't acting anymore, I would totally recast him with Ethan Hawke as Jonathan. And then, you know, his son starts to, like, he somehow awakens Pinker and the killings start again and they have to put a stop to him.
But
this time
we'll make
no more Mr. Nice Guy again.
We'll make Pinker CG and we'll have the original voice, right? We'll do like a Luke Skywalker situation.
Oh, you mean so just like you would just de-age him?
Yes, de-age.
We could de-age
so
him.
that he was like always just waiting.
What would be cool
for the power
is if
to come back on.
What would be cool is if we didn't de-age
Power
him.
to come back on.
What would be cool is if we didn't de-age him and he's been sitting. He's so sucked of energy that he's aged.
Yes.
So then it'd be age appropriate for you know. I think we got something here. Anybody listening, don't steal our Shocker idea. Shocker 2. Shock it to me, baby. Coming soon.
Oh my gosh.
That's the best title I've ever heard.
I think it's a good one.
Really
Shocker
good.
2. Shock
It
it.
is good.
What was it? Shock it
Shock
to
it
me,
to
baby.
me, baby. You got it, baby.
Oh, we get to meet who that is, maybe.
Yeah, we get to find out who he is. So it's shock it to me, baby. Yeah.
Very nice. I like it.
I'm gonna develop this story about the
Foolproof.
time traveling photons.
Jesus Christ.
It's
Okay.
already done by Santo.
What movie are
I
we
guess.
watching next week, Lydia?
Okay, so I didn't think very hard about this.
Good.
So I'm gonna say The Conjuring
Ooh. Okay.
because I really just want to watch it.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Conjuring is on HBO Max. That I know. It's on HBO Max. And I think it might even be on Netflix right now as well.
And it's on DVD.
It is on DVD.
How trendy.
I have all of them. Well,
I'm
that's
pretty sure
not
I've
true.
got
I don't
that
have the second one. Or the third one, I mean. Yeah,
I have
they're
the
all
second
on,
one twice.
the first one's on the first one is on Netflix, and they're all streaming on HBO Max as well. So watch that so that way you're caught up and ready to go about the movie this week. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment down below if you want to hear the Brown short story and any other things you want to say. You can find us online at HiLa Productions, where we have all of the shorts online, except for the newest one, obviously. All of the shorts available, past episodes of the podcast, and synopsis for the episodes. You can find us on Facebook at HiLa Productions. Find us on Instagram at Scream Bloody Movies. You can follow Lydia on Twitter at Lydia is Spooky. Follow Derek on Twitter at DDogLeeMaster. You can follow me on Twitter at Racket. And like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to tune in next week for The Conjuring. Anything else, guys? Nope. All right. So if there's nothing else for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.